All right, so welcome back to Let's Talk More Do podcast. I'm your host, Lamar Griffin. Today on the show, we got my brother from another mother. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, man.
What's good, guys? Ayo Oyelola, Jacksonville Jaguars safety, born and raised in London, now living in Florida, loving it. Yeah, I'm excited to chop out with my guy. We've got a really good relationship, met each other in like 2020, so yeah.
Talk to me about growing up in London, what that was like, the ups, the downs, what you love. Just talk to me about, growing up there.
Right, I think my childhood was really interesting because I saw a lot of different worlds. Parents are first generation Nigerian immigrants. I love them to death. They did a lot for me, you know what I'm saying? And since I could walk, I love sports. That's been my first love, you know what I'm saying? But my parents were really focused on education. It's been pretty well documented. I've said this like, a couple times, So I wasn't even allowed to play organized sports till I was 11.
Wow.
But I was in the park with the older kids from around 5 years old. And my dad, like full credit to him, he took me to the park from a young age. So, he didn't want me dedicating too much time to a team, but he helped me, lay the foundation. My dad's a super active guy too, so like we go on like 3-hour bike rides, we go play badminton, table tennis, soccer, basketball. I played everything growing up. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up in East London, not the richest part of East London, Barking and Dagenham. Some people might know it. But that just all fed into the hunger, you know what I'm saying? So my parents also did a really good job of putting me in spaces where I probably shouldn't have been from a socioeconomic background. So I went to a private primary school. We weren't rich, but I went to a private primary school. Secondary school, I went to one of the best in the country because my parents paid a lot for tuition. I got into one of the best schools in the country. So, I was surrounded by rich people, not being rich, who lived in a completely different part of, it wasn't even in London, it was in Essex. And I lived in East London.
So you was exposed to something.
Right. I was, and that's why I feel like I'm able to get on with everyone. I'm pretty empathetic because I've just been exposed to a lot. But growing up in London, I wouldn't change it for the world. It was hilarious. It was funny. You know what I'm saying? It set me up for life really well. So it was good.
I love that, man. So talk to me about Nottingham and law, man. You studied law. You just talked about university. Talk to me about, I think I read somewhere, and of course I'm with you, so you can't read everything, that you like doing things where you can formulate an argument or so. So talk to me about law in school, man.
I've always been into reading too. So that's another big thing since I've been a kid. Like sports and reading were really my thing. And through reading, you learn how to talk well. You know what I'm saying? You learn how to put arguments together. So that was just a natural course for me. And then I watched Suits.
Yeah.
I watched Suits when it was getting time to pick like what I need to do in my life. And they kind of lied to me, you know what I'm saying? Laura ain't actually like that, and I learned that very quickly. But no, I enjoyed my course. I was pretty good at it. Sports is still my first love though. I'm definitely gonna revisit law at some point.
Okay.
But every day I wake up and I go out to train, I'm like, I'm doing what I was born to do, you know what I'm saying?
How are you adjusting? So you went to so after IPP, we're not gonna talk about football. I know everybody wanted Jacksonville Jaguars, but everyone talks to you about football. But talk to me about adjusting, so, London, Florida, Canada, let me know if I missed anything, then back to Florida. So like, what's Canada to Florida been like for you? Just people, scenery, just how much moving your body mentally?
It's crazy because I never really left the country much prior to my professional sporting career. But by the same token, I think I was pretty lucky because I was always with a team or a group. I was always looked after in that way. It wasn't like I was just going solo. That would be wild. You know what I'm saying? But I was with other people who were on a similar kind of journey to me, not in Canada, but in Florida the first time round. I had Ayo, who's also from the UK, had other guys from Europe, Aaron Donko, had guys from South America. So it wasn't too tough. Now, adjusting to driving on the other side, the weather, the cultural differences, it wasn't easy, but it was enjoyable, and it was part of the whole dream for me. Moving away just to chase a dream, like it was almost like like I try and dramatize everything in my head, like, you know what I mean? So it was a pretty cool story in my head, so I kind of just embraced it and I dove into it. Yeah.
Psycho, I just got into doing him on the podcast. Shout out to Psycho. But he was saying like he had to get social security cards and just like you and him are both the same way and making it seem like that shit must have been, because I mean, I'm American, so like I wouldn't imagine if I moved to London and I had to get a new social security card, I had to learn how to drive. It's like, how was it pretty much starting a whole new life, essentially? Like, that's what all you guys had to do, but especially you, and you're still doing it.
Still doing it, man. It was hard. That part was hard, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think about it much anymore, but it was just things like, it was hard for me to open a bank account. Like, you know, I was in the NFL, but I was having trouble opening the bank account. I was having trouble opening a credit card line, you know. I was having trouble getting a social security number and even getting paid, like.
Cause you didn't have like.
It was just, you know, it was a situation that people hadn't really seen before, so there was no blueprint. But it all just adds to the story, you know what I mean? Like, it's never been easy, and it's never gonna be easy for me, you know what I'm saying? I've just kind of embraced that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just thankful and blessed for the opportunity, you know?
So you got you swaggy right now. Talk to me about creativity. You guys know this podcast is Let's Talk More Do, so everyone watching this podcast, photographers, videographers, entrepreneurs, and athletes. I feel like that creativity, music, art, fashion, it kind of crosses barriers. Talk to me about creativity, what you like, some of the things that you do, and just creativity in general. What are your thoughts on it?
Right, so just generally creativity to me it's just an opportunity to express yourself and the way you see the world. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone has a different way of seeing the world. And that's what I love most about creativity. So I play guitar, you know, I'm really into fashion. I love reading, as I said. I like movies. So, you know, it's nothing that I've taken seriously thus far. I just like expressing myself. And I like hopefully communicating a message to people through the way I dress, through the music I listen to, you know what I'm saying, through the way I talk, through the way I write. So I just find it super interesting.
That segue right into fashion, man. Talk to me about, because if y'all go to my boy Instagram, he put some fits together. I can't lie, I've never been a dude with a lot of style. My wife give me a lot of direction. Shout out to my wife. I'm a Florida football dude at heart, and I guess that's generic. That's me. I just sweatpants, hoodie. That's just my Nike stuff. Yeah. Now I'm starting to find out more about art and fashion, and like you said, it's a way to express yourself. Like I've been wearing a lot of off-white. Rest in peace to Virgil. He had a big impact on me. I'm telling you, man. So Virgil, off-white, and it's like even that, like being able to buy that, knowing that I'm representing what Virgil kind of saw. Right. So talk to me about fashion for you, and just like. Yeah, just your whole thoughts around fashion, especially like you said, coming from, I mean, I don't know your situation, but you got to have a little, to learn about fashion, you got to be exposed to it.
100%, and that's why I want to make a disclaimer, I'm not a fashion expert. You know what I'm saying? Like when I hear like experts talk about fashion, I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying right now. But I like finding, just, you know, going out, like it's like a hobby of mine, finding pieces that I like and fitting them together, you know, not loud pieces, not expensive pieces, but you know, and it's developed over the years. Now that I've had more free time, I haven't just been, you know, grinding. I can actually go out now and like, you know, look at some pieces I like and get them. So for me, as I say, it's just about expressing myself, you know, going out, finding pieces that fit together. And I think, you know, I don't believe in being shallow, but I think the way you present yourself is important. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're telling people a lot about yourself without speaking. So yeah, I love fashion. Hopefully, like I get to the level, you know, like where I really know the intricacies of making clothes and putting clothes together. I'm not there yet. Right now, I'm just expressing myself. You know,
ain't nothing wrong with that. So I mean, you from London, so London Fashion Week. Have you ever been to Fashion Week? What's your thoughts around it? I mean, that's just, you know, when you think of it, it's like. Not everybody, the people that know, you know, that can make it to Fashion Week. What's your thoughts about that?
So I was actually meant to go to Fashion Week in January. I've got a boy who runs a clothing company called Jendeo. They do like personal styling. He extended me the invite, so shout out him. He's got the same name as me actually, Ayomide. So shout out him. But I couldn't because we made the postseason, so I take that any day of the week. You know what I'm saying? It was late January, so hopefully I can make it out in June. If my schedule permits, you know what I'm saying, work comes first. If it doesn't, I'll catch it next year. But I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting out there.
Dive into me some of the things that if you were able to go, like, or anyone watching this that, you know, has dreams of going to see it, like, what are some of the things you want to experience while you're there? Or, you know, like you said, like with reading, I feel like when we read, we get to escape, like, reality for a minute. So it's like with you, like thinking about what you'd want to do at Fashion Week, whether it's networking, whether it's learning more about fashion, what does it look like for you when you get there?
I think the thing I love most about the fashion space is you talk to people and there's people who are just, they've found an absolute niche. You know, when you're growing up, you're told you can't make money that way, but they're surviving and they're doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? So I just love meeting people who know what they want and double down, because I'm pretty multifaceted. So when I see, I gain inspiration from absolutely everything. So when I see like some pieces, or when I talk to some people, it just gets my fire going again. And I find out, oh shoot, I'm actually interested in that too. Like, let's add that to the list, you know what I mean? So really, I'm just going there for inspiration. That's what I'm really looking for.
I love that, man. So going off of that, that just segued into my mind something like, talk to me about learning, man, because if you don't know, like if you don't know my guy, you're highly intelligent. And sometimes you see the muscles, the color of our skin, which, I mean, that's a thing that we have to face. Sometimes you like disregard like what we got up here. You're super intelligent. Talk to me about knowledge and learning, because I feel like me and you are both like nerds in a sense, but not saying nerds like in a bad way. Like, I love learning, man. It's like, talk to me about like gaining knowledge.
Yeah, I'd say like, you might feel this too. I'm kind of a weird guy in that the way I have fun is different. I have fun by learning and improving. And it's not a forced thing. Yeah, but no, I find I derive fun from learning and improving, you know. So, and that's in a multitude of areas. I'm not great at everything by a long shot. Like I can't draw, I can't make art to save my life. I appreciate art, but you know what I'm saying? I know where I'm good at. So learning is just fun to me, and learning is almost what life's about. Like, you're not meant to live to just kind of stagnate and stay at the same level. I feel like you're meant to be, you know what I'm saying, like this. There might be a little blip in the road, but I feel like you're always meant to be ascending. That's the whole point of living.
That,
so,
you know, on that, you played rugby, you played soccer. We both ran 100. What was your 100-meter time?
It was 10.86 when I was 16.
Boy, you was moving. I think my fastest was 10.7 or something. So me and you was neck and neck. Right. But again, like those times, like those are some good times for anywhere in the world. Right. Talk to me about those sports. Like, you know, of course, growing up in London, soccer, but then the rugby, track, and now you're in the NFL. Just talk to me about those sports.
So soccer was my first love, man. I was just absolutely in love with soccer. That's all I did. Like, if me and my family went on holiday, I'd find the local kids and we'd play soccer all day. It's all I wanted to do, man. And you know, when I was 11, obviously, that's when my dad said, all right, cool, you can join a team now. And I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, you're really meant to join the soccer academy from the age of 8. It's very hard to get in, especially when you have no contacts, which I didn't. So I just got a list when I was 11 of every professional team in the country, and I emailed all of them. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And somehow I got a trial at a League One club, which wasn't even a trial for real. It was like they invited 100 kids there. You had to pay. You know what I'm saying? They're not expecting anyone to make it.
It's kind of like, let's just
right.
see.
Eventually, me and another kid, we make it out of the 100. My parents were probably surprised, like, oh,
like, oh,
right, like this guy's had no professional training. Like, how do you do that? But you know, playing in the park with the older kids was the best training I could get. So my journey kind of started from there, around 12 to around the age of 16, 17. I was in professional academies. So yeah, that was soccer. Rugby, I played at school. I was very good at rugby. I loved rugby, but you know, when you're from London, like, you play soccer. Like, that's what you do. Track, I love track too. Absolutely love track. I guess I just wanted something a bit more, where there was just a bit more to it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to track athletes are phenomenal athletes, but I felt like I would thrive in something that had a bit more to it. But yeah, I love track.
Yeah, man. Speaking of that, man, just thinking about like being American, and even with me, like I started playing football at 9. And you know, I got my daughter, she's 3. And of course, like, I can't train my daughter now, but she's done basketball, soccer, she's in swimming, she's in dance. She's 3, you know, she's enjoying it, but you know, me and you know behind the scenes, I'm getting her mind right. She's 3, so imagine what she's gonna be with at 9. So it's like, do you feel like if you had more time, you'd be way past where you're at, or do you feel like everything happened how it was supposed to happen?
I feel like everything happened how it was meant to happen because I've always had to do everything myself, and because it's always been hard, it's given me like a level of relentlessness I don't think I could have got any other way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was basically new to soccer, even though I was 11 years old. Yeah. I was new. I had to learn the whole game. I had to learn the academy system, the politics. I had to learn all that by myself at 11. So when I came to the NFL and chasing this dream, I'm not going to say it didn't faze me, because it was still pretty daunting, but I've been there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And if I started earlier and my parents were pushing the sports thing, like, I don't know, but I might not have had the same hunger.
Yeah, it would have been easy.
Right, it would have been way easier, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm happy with the way things happen.
All right, let's jump into it. We met at the IPP program. So for anyone who's watching this, the International Player Pathway Program, talk to me about that. And then you went through it for people that's watching this, during the global pandemic, COVID-19. So that puts another level of, I mean, we know what went down there, but like, talk to me about the first time and the second time, and kind of like your thoughts on the IPP program.
Yeah, that junk was crazy, man. The first time I came, you know, first the cultural shock of being in a different country, and then you add on top of that all of the COVID stuff, like the regulations, being able to go to this part of the building, not that. Basically being on campus 24/7 because we weren't allowed to leave. It was an experience, man, but it shaped me. It's just one of them pivotal moments that shaped me. You know what I mean? I was trying to get to the NFL, and I wanted it more than I wanted anything, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot of lessons there. It's really hard to take a rejection like that, especially when you expect high things from yourself. But in retrospect, me not getting to where I wanted to be that year, going to the CFL, winning a chip, and then ending up at the Jags, which is an organization I love. Again, it just worked out exactly how it was meant to, you know.
And for me, I got to be there, get a front row seat, and just to see how, like, y'all boys was working, and it was just like, what was your mindset? Because again, like, you know, being a videographer, photographer, I got to do both, you know, of you and all the guys. It was always like you, Samus, Fredo, Bernard, like, everyone was so dialed in. Like, when y'all had to be dialed in, it was like 10 out of 10. Right. But then when y'all was relaxing, it was relaxing. And it was crazy just to see, like, it's almost like everyone was at such a high level when y'all was doing y'all shit. And it was just like, I'm trying to explain it for y'all on the podcast. Like, it's almost like you had to be there, but the attention to detail that y'all dialed into when it was like a circuit, but then when it was time to take a break, it was like everything was chill. Like, y'all was kind of a family. Talk to me about like your whole mindset of like the whole just going into it.
I can't speak for anyone else, but you have to understand how hungry you guys were. Like, in my mind, of course, like, I have a lot of interest, but I committed time to this. This is it. Like, I didn't make a plan B. This was it. And I'm sure a lot of guys felt the same way. So, you know, that stuff was hard. You saw it. You saw it firsthand. It was hard, but at the time, it was like, what else are you going to do? Like, you're going to go home? You're going to not go to the league? Like, you better just get on with it. And I feel like that's the way everyone felt, you know what I'm saying? And when you live with a group of guys for 2.5, 3 months, and you go through that together, it's going to be a brotherhood. And all those guys are still my brothers to this day.
That was one, shout out James, JDP, me and James was up there with you. He was so happy when you said this, because we were doing an interview with you, and you were like, I remember watching basically what we were doing with you. We were doing an interview for you to send back to, I think, NFL, London, something big. But to the kids watching the podcast right now in the UK and London, everywhere, what advice would you give for them as far as American football, like if that's something they want to pursue? Because I mean, you know, I don't think the game's gotten there yet where they're, you know, where they got the necessary things they need to be able to try to do something that you did.
Man, the advice I would have given myself is, firstly, be crystal clear on what you need to be to get to where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? And then just aim single-mindedly at that. And then secondly, realize how crazy what you're trying to do is. If your work rate isn't crazy, if your lifestyle doesn't, like, if your lifestyle makes sense to people, if they're like, oh, yeah, like, yeah, he's working. If people don't think you're crazy, you are not working hard enough. You know what I'm saying? So that's the two things I would say. Like, understand what you need to be, who you need to be, and then work yourself harder than you think you can. You know what I'm saying? That'll probably be my two pieces of advice.
And I love that, because even with you, like, I just reading up, doing research for the podcast, people were telling you that you should go to the NFL, and you were like, man, no. Right. Until you actually talk to me about that, like people telling you, and you're like, man, it kind of was in your mind, and then you took the initiative, and here you are. How'd that go down? Yeah,
like I heard it my whole life that I look like a running back. That's what people told me. Like, I heard that my whole life. And for some reason, I know why. I stopped playing soccer when I was in law school, and I haven't not played sports since I could walk. So something wasn't right with me, you know what I'm saying? I realized quickly I need sports in my life. Yeah. And I was just like, let me just see this NFL thing, like, let me check it. And then I was like, okay, like, this is cool, but I'm in the UK. So I searched international players in the NFL. I was like, okay, so people have done it before. Cool. You know what I'm saying? And then I looked at the athleticism and was like, oh shoot, this is actually perfect for me. Like, I was in the gym at the time. I've always been able to run. I've always been explosive. I'm like, oh no, like, if I work, I can actually do this. You know what I'm saying? So, and once that clicked, it was over with. That's all I did. I ain't go law school. I was watching film. I was running. I was my nutritionist. I was my therapist. You know what I'm saying? I was everything. So it's been a full-time job since I was 18 years old. Still a full-time job. Now people just recognize it. You know what I'm saying? Before I just looked like a crazy person.
Like you were insane.
Right.
So for the boys back there, y'all got to take this advice and, like, really listen to it, because, like, what's your bio say on Instagram? It's what? It's only
crazy till you do it, man. It's only crazy till you do it.
Like, you a living testament of it's only crazy until you do it. That takes us into this next part. So with you, I'm going to read this quote. I got it on my phone. You said, coming to terms with an entirely new sport was a strange concept. Then this is a quote from you. I think it's from you. Again, I don't take nothing I read unless I get it from the source. So my athleticism stood out, but it was very frustrating. I did not know what I was doing. I've never been a guy who doesn't know what I'm doing when I'm playing a sport, no matter what sport. That was tough mentally. I'm trying to scuba dive right now. We were talking about that before the podcast. I'm a black dude that's trying to, you know, the joke's like, can you even swim? And it's like, bro, I'm from Florida. Like, sometimes I take offense to it. Sometimes it's just like, it's just a joke, but it's like, yeah, bro, I can swim. Like, you know what I mean? And now I'm trying to do that with the camera in a sport. Scuba diving is a sport that's predominantly, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. But like you, I feel like, okay, I feel uncomfortable, but I got this thing down inside. It's like, just go for it until you figure out. How was that for you? Like, because again, like, is they like, are they teaching American football? Like, what did you have to even know other than the internet? Like, how did you do it?
You know, I was fortunate. I had some of the better coaches in the country, okay. But you know, to get to a certain level, you need more, right? So it was hard. But the internet exists, you know what I'm saying? So I'd just be watching film all day, like looking at the way guys move, you know what I'm saying? Looking at the way they train. And it was hard, man. It was hard. It was hard because there was no one else I knew who had the aspirations that I did.
You didn't have a blueprint.
I didn't have a blueprint. And I didn't have anyone in my ear saying, oh yeah, it's gonna work. Like, you're gonna be like, it was all me. Like, I was low-key delusional, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, it was hard, but where there's a will, there's a way, you know what I'm saying? And I just took it like a full-time job again. And you know, when you actually apply that level of focus to something and intent, you know, so you're gonna get something from it. You might not get what you're aiming for. You probably will, but even if you don't, you're gonna get somewhere close to there. So it's just work, man. Work is a secret ingredient.
So what for the people listening to the podcast and watching it, especially for your people back home, what do you expect from yourself from next season? What does it look like? How you feeling about the team, specifically yourself and what you're doing to get ready for, you know, next season?
Right. So, you know, for the guys back home, I don't know how much they know about it, but special teams is my next natural step. You know what I'm saying? It's something I love because it's about hustle, it's about effort. You know what I'm saying? There's technique involved. I've been working really hard with my coordinators to get that down. So what I expect from myself next season is to put some really good film out there. You know, to keep on improving every day just like I did last season, and to just become the best version of me, you know what I'm saying? And from a team perspective, like, I arrived at a really good organization at a really exciting time. You know, we've got the guys in the locker room to do something really, really cool. You know, we've got great ownership, great front office. So it's exciting, man. But yeah, my aim personally is just to be the best I can be, you know, and we'll let everything else take care of itself. But what's in my control, you know, I'm going to work as hard as I can.
Last but not least, for everybody listening, now this is more so for the creatives, entrepreneurs, everyone, what piece of advice would you give someone? The podcast is Let's Talk More Do. We both know people that talk about doing things don't actually ever take action. What would be your advice for someone out there that's, they want to take that next step, or they want to leave their job and become a photographer, or they want to, you know, start soccer? Like, what would be your advice for them? One piece of advice.
Just dive in. Don't have a life jacket. Like, honestly, like, just put your back against the wall. Even if it's not, just say, like, I'm doing this. I'm quitting. I don't know how I'm going to survive, but I'm doing this, and it's going to have to work, or something's going to have to come from it. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest thing for me is I never see a plan B. Might be bad, but it works. It's working so far, you know what I'm saying? I never see a plan B. I never see another option. If I want something, that's what I need to get, and I'm willing to do what I have to. So just, you know, my advice would be, if you really want something, don't take no for an answer. Don't see another option. Just go for it.
God, that's so real. Last one. That segue into just hearing you. Accountability. That's something that I think, especially as men, we don't talk about with each other. Like, especially, I'm a father, you're going to be a father at some point. You know, just what do you feel about, because I feel like you, like, I know you, like, our relationship, I feel like you big on yourself and, like, holding yourself to a certain standard. And for some of the listeners out there and people watching, like, I just got to that level where I'm starting to be like, if something goes wrong, that's on me. So it's like, talk to me about accountability, especially you doing all the things that you've overcome. Like, being in the NFL is, I think that's just a start for you. Like, you got so much more life to live. You know, you went through so much stuff. How do you hold yourself accountable, or what does that look like? Have you always been that way? Like,
I've kind of always been that way, but it's just elevated a lot more recently, because you never want the pain of regret, ever. You know what I'm saying? So the remedy to regret is always doing everything as perfectly as you possibly can. Because if something doesn't go your way, then, like, you know, I did my part. You know what I'm saying? You just want to be able to go to bed every day, look yourself in the mirror, and it's like, I did everything I could to get better today. And honestly, a lot of improvement is inevitable if you do the right things. There's a lot of stuff out of your control, but you can get a hell of a lot better if you pay attention to the small details. So yeah, accountability is big for me. It's really big for me, you know, and I just encourage everyone to just try and do everything as perfectly as you can.
I love it. All right, let the people know where they can find you, man, how they can connect with you. I don't, you know, all your social handles.
But Instagram, Apex, AYPEXX. Twitter, Ayo Oyelola. You just search Ayo and it should come up. I know you can't spell the second part. TikTok, Apex7 and that's what I got, man.
So for everyone that's watching the show, I'm gonna put all his social media handles down there. If you start to cook anything up with fashion, I got a feeling you're gonna do something in the future. You guys can look out for that. I'm gonna post a link. And then, man, at some point, if you go back to London, I'm saying this on the podcast, I want to come with you. If you ever decide to do a camp or anything, I love to see the talent over there, because I know it got to be more of you over there.
Yeah, plenty.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir, my guy.